Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of
Zeng This.
You've got me, Zenger.
And I'm Ellie.
And, of course we got some stuff to discuss, but I actually have something to say before we get into the discussion. I believe it was 2 to 3 weeks ago, I reported that Carrie Fisher was going to be in Star Wars Episode 9. It was revealed that that is not happening anymore.
Correct.
I don't know super details on it. I forgot to mention it last week, so I just wanted to do my due diligence. And since we did report something that has changed, I wanted to make sure that it was pointed out that it has changed. They haven't really revealed yet a lot on it per se. I'm sure there'll be stuff to come out once the movie's out, because I'm sure it has to do with plot points. Other Star Wars news that we actually didn't talk about last week. I know we've been talking about Star Wars a lot recently, but with Celebration, we did skip out on the Rebels series.
Right.
So apparently this is officially the last season of Rebels, but this isn't the last we'll be seeing of some of the characters, apparently. Some of them will appear in, of course, the Forces of Destiny. Has been announced that some of them will appear in that. And some of them have been kind of retconned into the series, possibly, which I already discussed, the Rex being in the Battle of Endor. But even though the Ghost does appear in the battle over Scarif, apparently it's not... they haven't revealed who's piloting it, and they haven't revealed, to the best of my knowledge, anything really details on that, because they've kind of pointed out that they do not want the series, even though it is ending, as that to be the end, because they've said that that story's already been told, so them having that be the end of the series, they feel would just not have a point, because it's already something that you know about. So who knows? We'll see what happens with that, because I know that is a big fans, a lot of people are fans of that series, so we got to get caught up on it.
Oh gosh, yes.
So, because we, of course, will be discussing that much later in the year, and we have our in-canon discussion for the Star Wars Celebration that we are doing.
But first, the Legends discussion.
Yes, that will be next month. And like I said, if you guys have any stuff that you are interested in us discussing or want to give us input on, please leave us a tweet or message us or email us or however you feel like getting a hold of us, because we've got some good stuff in the pipe for that one. So can't wait to good stuff in the hyperdrive for that one. There we go. There's a good pun. Do I have an X-Men sound?
I don't think so, but we could find one.
Shink.
Oh.
There, I did it myself. So in some X-Men related news, apparently there's a rumor going around that the next X-Men, well, there's been several X-Men movies announced. Of course, Deadpool technically counts as one, so you got Deadpool 2. You've also got a New Mutants as well, which is apparently Negasonic Teenage Warhead is going to be a part of that. So she was kind of introduced in Deadpool 1 to kind of bring her over as a familiar character. And apparently the next just X-Men title is going to be Dark Phoenix.
Ooh.
Which is interesting, because they've kind of already done that in 3, but once again, I don't want to get into the timey-wimey gobbledygook that is the X-Men movie franchise timelines.
Correct.
Because there's a lot of them, and none of them make sense. Per se, I could get into it, but I don't know. What do you think about those? Well, we all know what we think about Deadpool, but what do you think about the other two?
The Dark Phoenix
and New Mutants.
I'm okay with it. I think Dark Phoenix is such an interesting character, so it'd be nice to see it done right. So I definitely would be down for that.
Awesome. I'm excited about it too. I'd like to see Dark Phoenix done. I think a little bit better maybe than the last time. I mean, it would be interesting to see what they do with it with the younger cast. As for the New Mutants, it's something I've read. I've read New Mutants here and there. It's just never been something that's been super interesting.
I have some single issues of it too. I don't. It's been a while.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of the I guess B team of the X-Men. I'm not trying to knock anyone who's huge fans of the.
Oh yeah, definitely. No.
Of the New Mutants, it's just not my cup of tea per se. I guess I'm more of a bigger fan of like Wolverine being on every team and stuff like that. So
Well, I wasn't that excited when they announced Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm a huge fan now.
Exactly. So who
So-
knows? Who knows? Maybe this movie will introduce it to me, and I'll look at it in a different light then. So
course.
who knows? I mean, this is Fox Marvel, so
We'll
their
see.
stuff kind of is a hit or miss, I feel, from time to time.
Yep.
So I got a video game announcement real quick. I know this is kind of fitting into our repertoire of stuff. So apparently there's going to be a big announcement from the Call of Duty games this week. And they've kind of announced that it's Call of Duty WW2. So they're returning to World War II. And I'm kind of in favor of this, to be honest. I mean, I'm not a huge Call of Duty player, but I don't mind. If Advanced War, I really liked Advanced Warfare. I just haven't had any interest in any of the other ones personally. But maybe going back to World War II might get some people very interested in it because they've kind of, not that their departure from that from that time frame has been a negative one, but maybe just going back to it might do some good. Battlefield 1 seemed to do really well, and that actually went to World War 1, which I was surprised, and that has been very successful for the most part. So
Well, you let me know.
like I said, I want to see more on it, and they're supposed to have an
Yeah.
announcement, so we'll see what comes out of that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to mention it because it is something that is kind of definitely
Well,
on
you
the way.
did play the Call of Duty that had the guy from House of Cards.
Yeah, that's the Advanced Warfare.
Okay.
So I actually did enjoy that one.
Yeah.
The storyline was
Kevin Spacey.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I did play that one a lot, and I thought they did a very good job with him. Even I mean, he looked like himself in the game.
He
so
did.
I mean,
He did.
it wasn't that.
I didn't really
far-fetched.
play it, but I watched you play it.
So, but let's move on to some DC news that has to do with TV.
DC news.
Yes. So the DC news. Oh, we didn't do a skit this. Your vocal talents were much appreciated for that. There.
A little jingle.
Yes. We're just doing this a cappella today. No sound effects needed. We got this covered.
Hey, maybe one episode will be karaoke hour.
That's more for me, not Ellie, by the way, with that.
That's right. That's right.
So DC has a new show coming out on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Tell me.
It is called Krypton,
Nice.
and it is supposed to take place with Superman's grandfather.
Okay.
And I saw the trailer is actually kind of hard to find right now.
Stretching. Stretching? We're stretching with this?
Stretching with it.
I don't know. I mean, Superman's grandfather.
Oh, that okay.
Are we-
I was like, are we stretching
I feel like we're
with this?
I'm down for anything. I just feel like we're stretching here to get a
You're stealing my thunder with this
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm sorry.
So-
Go ahead. Excuse me.
All right, so I'm a huge fan of Superman,
Right.
but I guess this is kind of trying to get on the Gotham train, even though Gotham.
Don't you talk about Gotham bad.
I'm not talking about it negatively, but when it was originally pitched, I don't think a lot of people were really bored with it, and
Except me.
I mean, when they announced that, it was going to be following Jim Gordon, at least there's something there. Following Superman's grandfather is something that I have never sat down and went, I wonder what Superman's grandparents did.
Hey, well, like I said, I'm down for it. I'll try
Or
it.
sit there and went, I wonder what's, here's my extent of my wondering on Superman's father and mother. They put him in that space pod and sent him to Earth. And he told him that the planet would explode.
Yeah.
And that's about all I kind of think on with that.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a new Superman TV show. I don't mind Supergirl. Like, that's fine.
So you're
but
in the
don't-
Smallville was done
do
perfectly.
not touch my Smallville, is all I have to say. So
Okay.
I'm down with Superman's grandfather.
So wait, are you okay with Superman being in Supergirl then? Because
I
he doesn't.
am, because it's from a different perspective. It doesn't focus on him.
Okay.
It focuses on her adventures.
Well, this is supposed to focus on their adventures prior to the planet blowing up, which, like I said, I mean,
Which is a different timeline, though, so I'm okay with that.
I'm not saying I'm completely against this. It's just I just wonder. It's just I don't know where they. They
Like I
got
said,
the
stretch.
yeah. I'm not. I'm like I said. I'm not trying to be negative because I haven't seen it yet. Like
I
an
was
actual
excited
episode.
when you said Krypton. I'm thinking the dog.
Crypto. That's
That's
crypto.
right, Crypto. Oh,
Yes. So
that would be cool.
yeah, I would. I think they actually they had a cartoon based on him. I
Yes,
think.
they did.
But a live action one based on the dog, to where it doesn't the dog can't talk though. It still has to interact
I know.
like a dog, but it just has superpowers. That's
Okay.
if anyone's
Just
listening.
kill
and
my dreams.
if anyone's listening in Hollywood right now, consider that my pitch for a TV show. Copyright on that stamp.
That's okay. I'm an idiot, but we'll go into that later.
I didn't know you wanted to bring that up.
That's okay. My listeners need to know.
All right, so I guess we have one other thing to discuss.
Okay,
that
move
happened
out of
this
the way. I have to talk about this.
All right, have at it.
Okay. So, once again, we are not paid by Netflix, but we should be. Because all of our Netflix peoples out there, Bill Nye Saves the World has recently come out.
Yes,
And it's amazeballs.
we have not gotten through all of it yet.
No,
but
not all of it yet.
what we've seen is really good. It's definitely aimed more. I mean, I figure teens and up.
I would say teens and up. Yes.
So far, I know there are some episodes later
right,
on
we
that
haven't seen all of them. Yes.
But it definitely is. If you were a fan of Bill Nye as a kid, you're a fan of this
He's
automatically.
even better now. He's just awesome.
So it's definitely a great show. It's got great messages. It's got little tiny experiments that you can technically do at home, I guess.
All of the ones so far, yes, you
Yeah.
could do at home.
Which
And-
is what
and
he
I-
did in his show originally
Well,
too.
and I like the panel discussions.
Those are
yeah,
really cool.
They're very interesting. They're up to date, real world stuff now that's going on, so it's very relatable.
It's definitely he is using the Save the World
Yes.
moniker definitely really well with this, as
And
you
he
know,
pokes fun at his obsession with climate control and
climate change.
yeah, climate change and everything. It's awesome. I can't stress enough how great this show is.
Definitely check it out if you have Netflix.
The writing is phenomenal on it. Very
Well,
good writing staff.
Maybe that's just him.
He does kind of say he has some writers for him, so.
So that's definitely something to check out. I'm
Yes.
gonna touch on one more Star Wars thing before we get into the main
Okay.
topic. I'm giving a shout out to John Negroni real quick.
Okay.
And Chet from Down the Hall podcast.
Nice.
I'll throw you in on this, which we have challenged you, and I'm sure that there is a response coming soon. But I wanted to throw a shout out because if you look up John Negroni's YouTube, I believe it's definitely on his YouTube.
Okay.
He has what's called the Lightsaber theory. I am not going to get into it because it is spoiler filled possibly for the new movie, but wow. Me and Chet have also discussed our own theories. I would love to get, well, Chet and Rodney from Down the Hall are definitely going to be on because they have to respond to our challenge. So we'll have them on.
Don't punk out.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have them on for the top 10 sci-fi war movies, sci-fi /
Fantasy.
high fantasy war
Yes.
movies. So we'll have them on for that. But I would love to get him, possibly John, on to discuss some Star Wars theories with the upcoming movie. I don't know if you want to be in on that because we might spoil stuff with our massive ability to predict stuff. But I'm getting off the track here. Me and Chad have discussed stuff, which is pretty interesting. I'm not going to bring it up now because I want to save that for an episode where I can be completely like, we're going to spoil stuff. So if you don't want to listen, don't go beyond this point. But John, like I said, a lightsaber theory on just who Rey's parents are and just a whole entire theory. It is amazing. If that name does sound familiar, he is also the creator of the Pixar theory. That is basically all Pixar movies are interlinked. So definitely check that out. I watched it and I'm not joking, my jaw was on the table the entire time, and I think I messaged Chet immediately afterwards going, dude, did you see this? So it's pretty interesting. Like I said, I'd love to discuss it, but I'm saving it for another episode. We've discussed Star Wars a lot recently, and we've got plenty of time to discuss theories and stuff before the new movie comes out. And I'd like to save that for a huge warning episode so we don't ruin anyone's day by possibly revealing something that might or might not be true. Like I said, we don't know, but we can speculate. So I like I said, that's definitely something fun. I hope we have in the pipe later. So we won't discuss that hopefully at another time. Anyways, our topic today.
Yes.
Our topic
Let's
today.
get into it.
A game came out. It came out as the first episode this week.
Right.
Or last week. Sorry, last week.
Last week, yes.
And it was Guardians of the Galaxy, a Telltale game.
Marvel's Guardians
of the Galaxy, a Telltale game. And I, being a fan of that series, bought it. I did the pre-download, so it would actually download on the system. I sat down, played the first episode, and as it seems to be with Telltale Games, was completely enthralled and blown away by them. So this episode's discussion is just kind of our love letter to Telltale, I guess, or our discussion of the game, those games, just a lot of what that company's done. And if you're not, and if you haven't heard of Telltale Games, or what's all this about, this is definitely a good episode to listen to. If you're a fan of them, you might have some other ones that you might want to check out. We have some listener feedback too on this, so that's definitely cool. And we've played
pretty much all of them.
Pretty much all the more main ones that they've done.
Maybe not some of the older stuff.
Yeah, yes. I looked at their history, and there are a few games I did not realize they worked on. So that was interesting. But so
I'm gonna take point on this one.
All right, cool. I just wanted to start off by saying that game was fun. That's kind of a one-sided discussion. If you haven't played it yet, definitely I would recommend it. If you're a fan of Telltale Games, play it. If you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely play it. If you're a fan of both, why aren't you playing it right now? Well, finish listening to our podcast, then go play it.
Yes.
So that being said, I can definitely give that input. Ellie, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I'm an idiot, and
this is her saying this herself. I am not putting her up to this.
I volunteered this information. I've been so obsessed with Mass Effect. I have 3 planets, 100% viability, 2 outposts, been doing a lot of side quests, kind of been soaked into that world. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the time, make sure to play the first episode before the podcast. And Zenger and I have our own PS4s. And,
so we can play multiplayer, and so we don't have to fight over the TVs.
Correct.
Or the systems.
Well, I wasn't even thinking, because both of us have our profiles on each other's system. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, where is it? I'm looking in my library, all this stuff. I can't find it. I even text him, and I was like, where is it at? How do I get to it? And lo and behold, Zenger later goes, hey, you were on my system, right? And no, it wasn't. I was on my system looking for the game when he purchased it on his system. I'm a big idiot, and so this is why I have not played it yet.
My theory on this is she actually looked for probably 5 seconds and went, oh, wait, I can do something in Mass Effect. And that kind of led...
That is possible, too. I've got to save the world, okay?
Well, save the new galaxy.
Yes.
And, by the way, Mass Effect might come up in a later part of this discussion. Possibly.
Okay.
So
let's talk about Telltale Games. It's a great company. They've been around for quite a while, actually. Around 2004 is when they got started. And most of their stuff is episodic. Most of it.
Well, what kind of gameplay? What kind of gameplay would it be if someone, who's listening has never heard of Telltale is like, oh, I'm interested in this. What kind of gameplay do they really focus on? I mean, episodic, but that could be
of course,
anything these days.
Even though a lot of this main formula that they stick to has definitely inspired other companies to make games, but it's still, for the most part, they're the main company that does it. But basically, most of them are 5 episodes. They come out over a period of time. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 months between each one on average. And they are like some of you, depending on how old you are, when you were younger, you read books, and it was those like
choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventures, and it's like that. It's a choose your own adventure.
And some of you, when you were younger, probably played point and click adventures too.
Yes, exactly. So not necessarily, a Call of Duty where you're controlling a character and shooting and running and doing everything. It's more of that button press
Quick time events.
Yes, quick time events, not always though. Not everything's timed. You don't have to do everything on a timed frame. But a lot of their earlier games were more puzzle based.
Yes.
They don't have as much. It kind of depends on the franchise. Like with Batman, you have the scanner type stuff.
Yeah, each one of them is the same.
Own,
it's kind of the same template, but
yes.
you might have a different formula added to it each time.
So if you're a fan of stories,
yes,
you like stories.
Amazing storytelling.
Yes.
Abilities
and what we've noticed is, especially from the newer ones like Guardians of the Galaxy, you were telling me pretty good music in it so far.
They have great gameplay. They have a lot of great music. It is I don't want to talk about it too much.
Right. No, you're fine.
It is kind of a hybrid of both the comic and movie.
Okay.
Characterization. I mean, the portrayal of the characters. So if you.
So is the portrayal of the characters? You said it's more based off of the comic?
It seriously is a
Gamora?
mixture. It's a mixture of both. Star-Lord looks vaguely Chris Pratt-ish.
Okay.
Gamora is probably the most diverse.
More like the comic?
Yes, she does look more like her comic counterpart. Drax looks a little bit more like his comic counterpart per se. Groot, it's kind of hard for him not to look like his comic / movie counterpart.
Yeah.
And Rocket looks like Rocket.
Right.
So, but they do an amazing job. Nolan North does a voice in there. If you do not know who
Yay.
that is,
How do you not know who that is?
He basically is in every game.
Yes.
But
Awesome.
he's in there. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but it's a good surprise when you figure it out.
Let us know. Yes.
Yes.
Well, and what was the other one? Borderlands. Tales from the Borderlands.
Well, let's start with some of their earlier stuff,
Okay.
and then go through up until, like, if that's okay with you.
Well, I mean, like I said, their stuff has evolved over the years. I remember watching. Now, I never played it too much, but I remember watching you hours and hours play poker games, Poker Night 2 and Poker Night at the Inventory.
Those games were a lot of fun. As for the point-and-click story adventure, this is not where that is. But as for the character development, character portrayals, they basically kind of did a grab bag of PC / cartoon character.
It was fun to watch because I was like, oh, I know him from that. I know him
each
from
character
that.
had their own little quirks with them.
Sam and Max is
Yes,
in it.
and they also were a game that was done by Telltale, so that was kind of their earlier...
Several Sam and Maxes.
Yeah, and they also, of course, had Telltale Texas Hold'em was one of their first games way back when, so obviously not...
Closer to when they first started.
Yeah, obviously not too big of a departure, but that was kind of how I got introduced to them.
Well, in one of their earlier series that I played a lot and I forgot that they did, honestly, was the CSI games. I will admit that I did play those.
That was the surprise for me when I was like, oh, I guess I should do some research on this. I don't think I'm going to find anything. Whoa!
I played all three of if there's more than three, I remember playing three, but 3 CSI games. I absolutely loved them, and it was really fun finding the clues. And you had the fingerprint machine where you dusted for fingerprints, and they had the analyzer and you could get molds of like tire tracks, and so it was really fun. I thought it was fun. It was probably other people were like, this is cheesy, but so I have been playing them for a long time and didn't even realize it too.
Well, my first introduction to their more story-based stuff, I heard about the Sam and Max games, but somehow it's eluded me. I'm not saying they're bad in any way. I just haven't. Maybe now I can go back and play them, possibly, but... As for my first real experience with them, with outside of the poker nights, was actually the Back to the Future game, and I'll admit it, I really did not get it.
Right.
At first, I mean, I need to go back and play them because we do own it.
Was that one more puzzle based?
I don't remember.
It's been a while since I've played that one.
I mean, we own it, and I need to go back and
Well, I remember when they put the first episode for free.
Yeah.
And so I tried it out, and then played more of it later. But yeah, I do remember that one. It was very a lot of people loved that game. I think that was one of the most successful ones.
That one also has had a re-release on PS3.
Yes.
I mean, it originally came out on PS3 in several games, but it has come out on PS4.
Yep.
And I think the disc is hard to find.
We got it.
Yeah. So that's one I definitely need to play some more of. But they followed that up with another one that you actually played a lot more than I did. Once again, I tried it and I didn't really get it.
You're talking about Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I enjoyed that one more than Back to the Future. But the Jurassic Park one was definitely heavily loaded with QuickTime events.
Yes, it wasn't these games also are very famous for the choices you make.
Well, and if you wanted like 100% complete trophies or achievements on that Jurassic Park one, it was a pain in the butt. Like some of the newer ones, you pretty much have to play through the story and you're good. But I know Jurassic Park, like you had to beat stuff in a certain time. You had to go back and replay things because, you'd get one trophy for doing this decision, one trophy for doing that, or achievement, whatever you play on. But I really liked it. You can't beat dinosaurs. So.
But one of their biggest hits came out after that.
Oh, yeah.
The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Which is, I think, what got you turned on to really wanting these games.
Once the first Walking Dead came out, I had to have every release after that.
So, once again, I did not have any interest in this.
Right.
So, I kind of...
You kept going, why do you want these games?
But I did get... We did buy them. I
Yes.
think I got them for you as a gift.
Yes.
And you wanted...
I think one Christmas I got like 3 or 4 for
Yeah,
you.
because you got The Walking Dead, you
Yeah.
got the season 2 of it, and Wolf
Yeah.
Among Us.
Well, and you bought the re-release of Back to the Future.
Yes, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the same year.
Oh,
Anyways,
maybe it was. Whatever.
But this sets up my true introduction to my love of these games.
Right.
I don't remember what caused me to start playing it, but The Wolf Among Us.
Yes.
And I'm sure that this was brought up in our first read this actually.
Well, yeah, because I was reading the graphic novel, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited they're going to make Telltale about it.
Well, when we did our read this of the
Yes.
first, we actually discussed it then too, so we might be repeating ourselves slightly. But
Sorry.
But I played that game and I was blown away
you beat
by
it before I did.
I was blown away by the story. I was blown
Yep.
away by the characters. I was blown away by the way the gameplay was. I don't know what clicked, but just every cylinder was going when I was playing that game, and I was just like, "Wow, this is well done. I'm interested in these characters. I want to know more about this." And I am not joking. I was watching the credits, reading the first volume
Yes.
of the comic because this is the
And I'm
Wolf
still
Among
waiting
Us.
for a season 2.
Wolf Among Us kind of sets up the prior to the events of the comic series,
Right.
or the graphic novel series. If you want just a very brief rundown of what The Wolf Among Us is, you can go listen to our episode on that, which
Yep.
was one of our earlier episodes. Our first read this actually,
Right.
but just a real quick thing. Basically, old fairy tales in the modern day
Yes.
is I guess the best way. It's
sort of like Once Upon a Time.
I was about to say it's the adult Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
So I guess that's kind of crashing into that, and you've played the Walking Dead ones a little
Yes.
bit more than I have, and those do technically take place in the same universe as the TV show, correct?
You do see characters from like Glenn is in it. So there's characters from the regular show, not Fear the original series, that are in this as well. They do
and
show
it takes
up.
place early on in the during the outbreak.
Yeah.
But once again, it's a lot of stuff still is not answered by this.
And
game.
if there's a particular character that kind of goes into the next season, so you kind of can, it's that choices matter kind of concept.
Yes, these games are heavy on, you have to decide one person or another sometimes, or siding with one person or another.
Right, and they're hard choices.
And they
are,
are,
really are. Especially in the Walking Dead games.
Technically, I mean, I've played The Wolf Among Us enough to where I know that it kind of still you spread out, but it kind of funnels you back at the end.
Right.
But in the end, it kind of can change how people perceive you and
Correct.
in events in that game,
Well,
which all of these seem to do so far.
And what's cool too is if it's a game that they've only had one, the choices are kind of different throughout the game. But then, like I said, with like Walking Dead and another game that we will mention that's getting a season 2, if has multiple seasons, as long as you have your save file and you're playing on the same system, it will remember choices from the earlier games into the new season. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. Now, it's not to say that, like Zinger said, sometimes it doesn't really matter exactly what you choose. It's those choices are more for in the moment and maybe a little bit later, but it does sometimes funnel you back.
I
Like
will
he
say
said.
this: you do make pointless decisions that you don't know are pointless decisions. It's you straight up will have because they'll be like so and so will remember that or so and so
Right.
won't forget that.
And you don't really see that come up
You
again.
never see that come up
Correct.
again, and
Yes.
that's the thing. You don't know.
That's why I
what could
said
cause
it's more
that.
about you're in the moment. Like it bothers you in the moment, but then you get over it.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, who knows? You never know, and that's the thing with these games. You never know what could really affect something else.
Right.
So I said that's where I truly fell in love with these games.
And they can be. Let's just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They can be glitchy sometimes.
Yeah,
but-
I've seen that.
But the thing is to keep in mind, it's more about the story.
Yeah.
These aren't like, blockbuster titles that are expecting to win Game of the Year or anything.
Even though they do definitely rake in on the awards.
They
So,
do. So we're not saying we're blind and oblivious to, sometimes technical issues and stuff like that, but the gameplay and the story
Is what
far
drives these
outweighs.
games. So if you're a
Yes.
fan of story, definitely.
And I feel like it's inspired. Like there's phone apps now that have games that do the same thing, not to the elaborateness of course Telltale, but I think it's neat that it's inspiring more and more people to want to get out there and read and do stories and stuff, even on like small phone apps and stuff like that.
Now, the next game we're going to discuss is a very interesting take because this is one of their first real. They took an existing. They obviously did this with The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and Poker Night per se, but they took an existing franchise that played completely differently from how the Telltale games are done, and somehow made the humor, made the gameplay, made everything work with it, and that was Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh my gosh.
I love that game. That one was one I believe I picked up to where that one I picked up I think as the full release. I don't think we had to do that one episodically. Well, it's episodic, but I picked it up as the disc to where you
After
had
they
all
all
the
came out.
Which I don't know. I kind of
I don't like waiting.
I don't even though I am playing I did the
Guardians.
Batman where I played that, which we'll get to that. I did the
Right.
Batman one where I played it as episodic, which I'll discuss when I get to Batman. And Borderlands was I think phenomenally done. And
Borderlands is one of my favorites.
it's got the humor from the game.
Yeah.
It basically is you're playing Borderlands as a point and click adventure.
Now, I will say that it is a great standalone game,
Yes.
but if you've played the series, it makes it that much richer.
It does. It does a great job. If you're a fan of Borderlands, definitely check out this.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It has great music. It has great
Because
characters.
they have new characters in it, but they also have
It-
peaks from the, you're like, oh, I remember that person.
and it has great humor.
yeah.
The humor in it's great. The music
Fantastic.
was just something there was I think it's the opening to episode 4 and 5. I think are my favorite openings,
Oh,
and
the music's fantastic.
the music, the way that they do the title, like just the credits at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's funny I say that I'm like the credits were amazing, but trust me, watch it.
When you watch it, you'll understand.
Yeah, it's the opening credits to both of them. They do an amazing
And
job.
I definitely teared up like several times playing that game, so it is really emotional. Well,
because
at least it
the
was for
choices
me.
you had to make.
Yes, exactly.
So the next one that came out very shortly after, and we're doing this as when the episode started in release order, so some of these might have finished before others per se, but Game of Thrones, which this actually takes place, once again, it does tie into the show in the sense of the story does take place in the same universe as the show.
I
It does
have
have
not
characters.
played this one.
I have played a little bit of it. The
Yeah.
reason Ellie has not is
Yeah.
I guess we're going to reveal something.
We're behind.
We're behind on. I know what happens
Yeah.
in the show, but Ellie is a little bit behind.
Yeah.
So
I need to do some binging.
yeah, marathoning.
Oh,
marathoning.
I'm sorry.
We marathon it.
Okay, excuse me.
Exactly. So that one is one that it's on my list to play. I just need to get caught up in the show to where it happens. Even though I know what happens, I'll blurt out something that Ellie will wring my neck for. So
I will.
But like I said, this one was very successful. This was 6 episodes, and this one also
is getting a season 2.
is possibly getting a season 2. It's their rumor one right now since
they
Guardians
always
just
have
came
a
out.
rumor one going on.
So
yes.
that one was definitely a good one.
Maybe E3 will get some more details.
Who knows? We might. So that one's definitely one that we have. We own it. We just have not played it yet.
Yes.
So this one is one that I think I'm going to leave with you to talk about for a minute.
Minecraft?
Yes, I've played a lot of Minecraft, and the fact that they made a story mode out of it is interesting. And a lot of people really love this game. It's the one that we have not gotten yet, but I mean they do an amazing job with everything else, so I'm sure it definitely ranks right up there.
I will say that I just don't care for Minecraft. I see the appeal to it. I definitely do.
I do. In her defense, I do care for it. It's one of those games, if I'm not doing anything for the day, I will play it. If I have stuff to do at some point in that day, I avoid it because it is a game that I can seriously be like, oh, I'm just going to do this, and I will lose 6 hours of my life all of a sudden and be like, what happened? Where am I?
Well, I mean, okay. I get it. I have games that, namely farm simulators that I won't get into right now, that I have totally spent all day playing. So I understand playing the mindless stuff like that. But I am interested in playing the Telltale part of it just because there's a story mode.
They were able to make a story mode out of it.
Yes, exactly. So I would be interested in that, yes. But
all right, the next one we would have that came out from them was the Walking Dead Michonne. Mm-hmm. And if for anyone who might not know who that is,
it is the lady that earlier in the seasons has the 2 zombies that she has walking with them. She has a sword.
She's the lady in Walking Dead with the sword.
Yes.
And
Super
it's
awesome
apparently
lady.
supposed to be an origin for her, I think,
Yes.
if I remember correctly. So that's definitely one. That one was a shorter one they did, too. So
right.
So that one was definitely one that, once again, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, would definitely play in there. I'm going to mention this one right now, so we're jumping out of order. There is the New Frontier, which is still going on right now, which once again continues the story from the season 2. So that definitely still follows a certain character and their journey continuing on. I'm not saying any names or anything. So when you play the game, you're not having it ruined for you with the other ones.
Right.
But now we get into one that we both have played.
Oh, yeah.
And this one's one that we both very recently played.
Yes.
Batman, the Telltale series.
I love this one.
I definitely enjoyed it. This one was M-rated.
Fine. That's fine.
Which they didn't bash you over the head with it. I'm not saying that as in that, but it definitely, for a fan of Batman, I thoroughly enjoyed it. They utilized existing characters and introduced new they introduced new characters while utilizing old characters, and definitely it was him sort of as his origins to him learning how to become. He's established as he is the Batman, but he's not the Batman yet, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I thoroughly enjoyed it as a Batman fan. I played it. I loved it. I thought the choices in it were well done.
I like the new scanning part with the his tools.
Yes, there is an origin of a few other characters in there. Mm-hmm. Definitely a change up of some of the characters' origins. Yes, there's a change up of some of the characters' origins, which some people might have been upset by. I don't care. I think it worked.
Fine.
I enjoy what they did with it, and once again, it's just showing that they did an amazing job with this. I hope it gets a sequel. I really enjoyed it. So that one was definitely I liked. I mean, being a Batman fan, I'm sure I would have liked it, but it's just once again showing that they chose Batman, who's a detective, and it did a great job of really making you feel like you were piecing stuff together, because there are parts of the game where you actually have to piece the crime scene together.
That was really fun.
So that was really fun to do that. And
that.
You would technically even you could mess it up, and he'd be sitting there, and you'd be like, I don't think that's how that works.
And you're like, oh crap, I guess I decided wrong on that one.
So that one was one I enjoyed. That one was one we did get to where we got it. That one was monthly.
Yes.
Not there's a problem with it doing it that way, but
If you really get excited and get going,
these games are ones that you could probably, if you really wanted to, in probably one sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, if you have a day off of
typically
work,
10 to 12 hours.
yeah, you could blow through these in one sitting, and they're great games, and the stories is that enthralling, and it's really fun when you're making those decisions to have them basically
Yeah.
lead one to the other. This one we did as a monthly one. I didn't mind it. It's just I'm used to the other ones where I was able to play the entire game start to finish right there. So this was a different
Right.
experience. Did I mind it as much? No, it just I really had to pay attention because they have recaps of the previous episode. So this was one that I definitely had to utilize the recap of the previous episode for this one. And then their newest one is, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Which I've already discussed. So these games as a whole, we have thoroughly enjoyed. And we just wanted to kind of let people know about them and talk about them real quick because they are games that a lot of people do enjoy. And
I think a lot of people, if they haven't given them a chance, they would enjoy them. If
bingo,
they did.
and they can range from anyone from a casual gamer up to a more hardcore gamer. I mean, it's not like the action shooter or anything, but
Right.
it definitely. I mean, the Borderlands one, I think, was just like that one to take that universe, turn it into that game, and have it all feel like I'm still playing a Borderlands game. Like it did not. It felt like I knew I was playing a Telltale game, but it felt like I was just playing Borderlands from a different point of view. So
Yeah, so if you want to break from your shooters and your intense, open world games, and you just want to immerse in a good story, these are definitely great. And you have so many to pick from, so it's not like you have to play through all of them. If there's a series that you really like, there's plenty to choose from, and then they keep making more and more. So
they've published some other games, but they're not ones that we have played, so we're not going to touch on that. We're just acknowledging that there are other games that Telltale has done publish wise, but
some people might know the 7 Days to Die.
But as for developing, those are the ones we were focusing on.
Right.
So, do you want to get into the comments first, or our hopes for what IPs they could take on in the future? Let's get into the comments first, because I feel like our look into our crystal ball, look into a hopeful future for us might be a little bit interesting. So let's get to Twitter, where we had a comment from David Ginsburg, the host of Tales from the Fandom.
Yes. And he basically put, "Oh man, I love Sam and Max, but I dig the Walking Dead games. So kudos to you."
So he's played the Sam and Max games, which I feel like I need to play at some point now, because those I think were the origin of a lot of this stuff.
They're pretty funny.
I've
played
heard that
some of them,
that they've got a lot of good humor to them.
Yes.
And of course, we have discussed the Walking Dead games as well. So definitely thanks for that input, David. Check out his podcast as well. Definitely check it out. Coming up very soon. Once again, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And that's once again Tales from the Fandom.
Right.
So let's jump over to Facebook, where we had a few comments on there as well. And sad on me, I've actually forgot to post this on our actual page. So this was actually only comments from 540. I apologize. I'll get better about this next time. We have a comment from Travis.
He liked Back to the Future.
Which, like I said, I need to give that one another chance. Like I said, I didn't not like it. I just didn't get what the game was when I played it. Because it was one of those free ones. Like you said, they did episode 1 for free, and I tried it, and I just didn't get what it was about. And then we have another one from Tim. And then we have one from Tim.
Yes. He hasn't played enough to say for sure, but so far, Wolf Among Us.
That would definitely, I would say that would rank as one of my favorites. And
Mine
I know
was
it's my
Borderlands and Wolf Among Us.
And I know it's one of the first ones I played, but it's one that I'm not joking. I could probably play that game from start to finish again, time after time. Not saying I can't do that with the other ones, but it's just I love the characters. I love that the world it introduced me to. So that was definitely, that got me hook, line, and sinker when I played it. So I definitely like that. So those are definitely something that if you want to comment yourself, definitely make sure to follow us on Twitter, and also follow us on Facebook, where you can comment on our little post that we do. We're definitely going to make sure to post what our possible topics are for our podcast so that you can comment and get into the conversation. So definitely keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook for those kind of comments to drop in. Now, here's the one for this week, I guess. What game, if you have played Telltale, would you like to see them do in the future? Like what franchise or what just anything that they could, what IP do you think would be interesting for them to do?
I mean, is this like completely free? Like
Free,
you can choose anything?
Free going. You can either choose for them to do it. I guess we'll have this discussion first, and then we'll definitely, if you want to comment, I mean, leave us a comment on Facebook or on our Twitter as well, and that's of course at Zeng This, and search for us on Facebook, Zeng This.
Well,
or if you agree with one of us, you can also
right.
You can also comment on that. So go.
I think that like a Lord of the Rings would be really fun.
Interesting.
Because Game of Thrones, I know it's not the same, obviously the same style, same universe, but still the fantasy, dragons, blah blah blah, like that whole.
Yeah.
I think it would do really well, and I think it would be really fun to have something like a Doctor Who.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So either one of those two would be really exciting for me to, and you could have so much play with it because of all the different doctors. You could even make your own doctor because of the doctor, how it changes, so they could do it to where it's past.
They haven't really done like you always play as established characters.
Right.
Remember, yeah. Or established in their universe.
But it'd be kind of fun for them creatively. More creative time there is because, like I said, with Doctor Who series, it changes on average 3 to 4 seasons, and so this could be set could be the next Doctor after the current Doctor. So it'd be kind of fun for them to be able to create their own character and that sort of thing. But I think either one of those two franchises for me would be really fun.
All right, I've got 2 video game ones, a comic book one.
Oh.
Actually, I probably could do a few comic book ones.
Fine, Witcher.
Okay, you took one of my video game ones.
Okay, I'll take Witcher.
I think Witcher would be great. Even though the game does kind of revolve around those choices already, I think more developing... I don't know, Witcher already seems like it does a good job with its storytelling, so I just think it would be interesting to see that world probably from a different gameplay standpoint.
Well,
even though
he's
the combat's
been around, though, for so long.
Even though the combat's fun, it would be cool to see, a developing story within that universe. So that would definitely be one that I would enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Mass Effect could definitely be one that it could work in as well.
We could see Shepard come back.
Once again, the game already kind of has that to it, but I think them fleshing out the story more in that way. Star Wars would be another one that could definitely be done. I think they could do an amazing job with.
They could do like Walking Dead, where there's like 50 million seasons.
Well, once again, since Star Wars is trying to build up this whole new canon they're making, it would be a great way to have that happen. But once again, the choices would be something to where, I guess in the end, it doesn't matter what you make because you have to have it kind of funnel back.
Right.
Or it could be, once again, kind of its own little thing. So that would be an interesting one to do.
Yeah.
Going to Marvel real quick, I think an X-Men game would be definitely something that would be interesting. To where you could have, you could have Wolverine in there and Cyclops and you'd have to side with different X-Men for different missions or pick different people to go with you. So that one would be one that I would think would be interesting. And now for my wild card one.
Oh, okay.
Magic the Gathering has an actually vaguely interesting storyline.
Well, they have a lot of novels.
Yes, they have there's actually a storyline behind the cards and everything and a lot of the characters in it. So I think that would be a very interesting way to flush out some of the storylines of the Planeswalkers from that series and get people maybe more interested in the storyline.
Yeah.
That does go on behind those cards and everything. I mean, I've always thought that was interesting. I've been out of the loop on it for a while, but the Planeswalkers do. Of course.
No, they have some great characters.
Yeah, they do have some great ones in there. So that one would be one that would definitely be really cool for Telltale to maybe do. I mean, who knows what they're going to do in the future? They definitely do a phenomenal job making games. It seems like they just
and my question,
print awards.
What do you think is basically they've been doing this for a while. It's clearly successful. Do you think they should branch out and do their own IP, like their own character, like their own story.
I think it would be interesting, but I don't know. It's kind of they do such a good job of adapting these characters that everyone gets all like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that.
Well, that's one of the reasons they sell so well is because they're nostalgic for people. Yes, but I'm just curious if that's something they're ever going to do.
It would be interesting, but I think it's also that helps with the establishment a lot of people have. I guess the closest thing they have to doing their own IP would have been the Minecraft game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that really had no established story to it technically beforehand. It just kind of used the world that existed.
Right.
So, so that, I mean, what are some games that you guys would like to see them do? Or, or do you think any ones that we mentioned would be good for them to do? Definitely send us a comment or, let us know. Let us know. We definitely will respond to it and probably read it on the podcast. So with that, we're gonna wrap things up today. This was a fun discussion, I think.
Yeah.
So not saying that any of our other discussions aren't fun. It's just this one was one that we thoroughly enjoy these games and kind of wanted to show our love for them to you guys and if someone's on the fence about it, definitely.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people out there still that just really don't know what they do.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I didn't get the hang of them for a little bit, which I'll freely admit that I just didn't get it, I guess.
Right.
So nothing bad about that. It's just games play differently sometimes, and you might not realize what you're getting into when you start playing them. All right. Just a quick note before we give our normal rundown of our end show stuff. We will have our Read This on Copperhead Volume 2 will be out later this week.
Yay.
And we will be joined by a very special guest, Scott Godleski, who is the co-creator and artist for the first 2 volumes and is currently doing the cover art.
For 11 going forward for a little while.
For a little bit,
he's
doing that. So we actually got him on and discussed
He was so much fun to talk to.
Yes, and that will be out later this week. It was a pleasure to have him on, so definitely check out that. We will be posting, of course, about that later this week. I'm going to say Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday. It should be out on Thursday, so definitely check that out.
It will be done.
It shall be done. It shall be done, my master.
Yes.
So
I am your master.
We're not in Star Wars right now.
Okay.
All right. So with that, you can, of course, find that as well as other podcasts we do on SoundCloud.
Zeng This.
You can also find us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. We'll read it on the podcast. We greatly appreciate those, and they help us a lot.
Yes.
So definitely do that on iTunes. You can also find us on Facebook.
Zeng This.
You can join conversations we're going to be having on there. You can also go onto our Twitter.
At Zeng This.
You can tweet at us and join... Once again,
tweet
at us there and join conversations we're going to have there, because we definitely, if you post to us about topics we're talking about, we'll read them on the podcast, and definitely we like the involvement of our fans.
Yes.
So you can also find us on Instagram when we are posting pictures, behind the scenes stuff, and just fun, collages and stuff we do for the podcast.
That's at Zeng This Podcast.
And if you want to watch us play some games, we need to get back on that. Maybe we could do some Telltale Games.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Maybe I could do the Back to the Future game doing this.
And if we could do they have the new features now with people can do in their choices.
So me and you can do it while we're arguing back and forth about what to do.
Why did you choose that?
So, or we can just argue while one of us plays too. That's always fun.
That is true. Yes.
So you can, of course, find us on twitch.tv/ZingThis.
Yes.
If you want to help contribute to the podcast, we greatly appreciate that as well. You can go to patreon.com/ZingThis and definitely check that out. We have 2 different tiers of content you can technically get, so we greatly appreciate any help there. If you want to check that out, you can head over to Patreon, and if you want to email us directly, you can go to
zingthis@gmail.com.
And finally, DJ GoldenBoy89.
Play us out.
I've been Zenger.
And I'm Ellie.